only turned it around 180 degrees.
180 degrees.
But he's gone another 360 and then...
360.
And then another 180. Macho Man.
You know what that means?
That sounds like Return of the Living Dead.
No. That's the Undertaker.
How?
Oh, I mean, I'm kind of half right?
Probably.
Undertaker is my all-time favorite.
I mean, he is dead, and he's returning.
No, he's retired. It's different.
Well, okay. Well, in character, buddy. Out of character, yes, right? But in character, as like the news would say.
His
like,
career's dead.
Okay.
He's retired.
I was meaning more that
He went
like
back to being
undead.
called Mark.
Well, when he was
His
the
real
American
name is
Badass,
James.
remember?
He's out on his garage just like building shit. And,
No, remember when he was the American Badass, but it was what, all to the Limp Bizkit song?
Yeah.
Which I still find kind of comical. I mean, I loved Limp Bizkit, but that wasn't very cool for a while there, right? Hey, shut up, man. You know you liked them too.
I can go on record. I have never liked Limp Bizkit.
Well.
I swear I've never.
You know what? You just don't understand their music then, do you?
You don't understand
Not at all.
me. They just sum up my whole teenage years. It's
I've
just
got
one of
nothing.
those days.
Give me
where you
something
don't-
to break.
Yeah.
Give me something to break.
Yeah. Give me that tablet, Angel.
Bro,
You know
have,
what,
you,
guys?
have you ever woken up in the morning and just felt angry at well, that song is the anthem for you, man.
This is my anthem.
Okay.
Hey man, just want to let you know that sometimes you gotta shut the fuck up. You gotta shut the fuck up. And this current time is just one of those times you gotta shut the fuck up. I don't think you're a bad person. I just don't want to hear you talking anymore.
Squad.
I feel like there was some passive aggressive energy transmitting here.
Just a little bit. Georgie, you were missed.
Yes.
With every shot so far.
And they still trying.
How you doing?
Fantastic, my friend.
Are you playing Mario Brothers?
Maybe.
Oh. Add me.
It's called copyright free.
Add me.
Just go with it.
Okay, at that point, where's the passive aggressive energy when you say that?
Fucking bullshit.
Fucking bullshit, man.
Fucking bullshit.
Fucking bullshit, man.
Okay. So if you guys are wondering, we have gathered here today to talk a little wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Back up, jabroni. Let me show you how it's done. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time for OUCHAMANIA number 2.
That's horrible. We need a do-over. Uh-oh. You got to mix them up. You got to put some umph into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, finally, the OUCHcast has come back to Undercity Comics. We are the cream of the crop, and we will always rise to the top, and that's the bottom line. So what you gonna do when the OUCHcast and the OUCHAMANIACs run wild on you?
Squad.
Oh my.
I like that. That was good.
Yeah,
that was
Jared.
dope, man. I'm right across the aisle there. I'm giving you a
He
bump.
just outdid me.
Yeah,
You know what
that
I
was
mean?
dope, man.
He was way better than you.
Yeah, way better. Like, hats off.
So are you
get
going to
that
rehire him now, Angel? Because you've been firing him this whole time.
You're rehired. You're
gonna fire me while I was
your
gone?
probation is over.
So where did we get that one?
Enrique, you have anything to say?
I prefer men.
Okay, that's good. I'm just saying, is all.
Oh man! So are you guys excited about WrestleMania? Do you guys even still watch?
I don't watch.
You don't watch?
I don't watch.
But you have kids.
Yeah, you know what? I put it on for my 8-year-old, and I'm like, he's gonna like it because I put it on Peacock, and I'm like trying to get into it. And I'm looking at him, and
Is
he's
it the fact that it's on Peacock?
I just like saying cock, but he was watching it, and he's on his phone watching, and I could see him watching. So I'm like, oh, he's getting into it. We could bond on this, and get into it like we were doing with other stuff. And I'm like, hey, monkey, you watching? He's like, yeah. You like it? No. Oh. Can you change it? Oh, okay. What do you want to watch? Star Wars. Okay. And I put Star Wars on. That's it. And, like he did not like any of it, like at all. I go, you didn't find it funny? He's like, no.
You know what? It's a different product for a different era, different genre, different community.
Also, my 13-year-old too. Last year when we did the first OUCHAMANIA and I was prepping for that, I started watching again and I put it on for him and he's like watching. He's like, that looks kind of cool. And then he watched it for a while. He's like, No, it's actually not.
Yeah, I think that his sentiments match like many people's, sentiments when it comes to the world of wrestling. But
Cinnamon?
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 There's so many people. There's so many people like who still like love wrestling, like it's die hard, and I think I'm one of those people. So I'm going to the Raw after WrestleMania.
Right on. See, the thing about wrestling is like it's definitely generational, and it's passed on from father to son, and on and on and on. I mean, just think of like all the different like history of wrestlers that are come from a long line of past wrestlers. The Hart Foundation, and even The Rock and
all his family. Yeah.
And what about what's his name? Cody Rhodes,
Yeah,
right? He's
Dusty.
the son of Dusty Rhodes, right?
Son of a plumber.
Yeah. So I mean, and so it stands that your kids will be watching it, and you'd want to like bond over that with them.
You
if
know
you
what
could,
I think
right?
though? I think that you become a lifelong wrestling fan if you've actually had a wrestling match.
Huh?
True.
That's true.
True.
I've had my first wrestling
had
match
some
when
too.
I was 3 years old.
With your uncle.
No, bastard.
Nightmare!
That's terrible.
Right?
There's somebody out there listening who got triggered, and I apologize.
The fact that Enrique gets that like that, like
We're right here,
right here, buddy, right here.
Don't worry, George. I got
See,
you back.
when he said that, and
That's
you were
gross.
going with the Nightman joke, so I got there first, and then you got with the falsetto, and we just made beautiful music together, man.
That's
Beautiful
sexy.
music. Yeah.
That's sexy.
But
No,
so wrestling that at age 3, like, was it your brothers? Were you guys just kind of
My brother was a couple months old. So my cousin, we were watching it at my grandma's house, and my aunts went ahead and dressed us up. I was the Ultimate Warrior. My cousin was one of the Road Warriors, and they straight put ropes around the freaking garage. Like they had the.
Oh yeah, that is
What was
me
it?
too.
Yeah, so it was pretty dope.
Damn, that's production value. I'm thinking like we're wrestling. Like I would wrestle out with like my friends out in the grass. We just trying to beat the crap out of each other. You guys had production value.
No,
You had, like, a whole thing.
George would go all out. Like I told you when we first met last time, I talked about that. He made these belts out of like sheet metal and tires, like
Here,
the
you
inner
wanna-
tube of tires. It was,
You guys want to hear a cool
they
story?
were amazing.
Always bringing this up, huh? Okay, here we
So
go.
when me and Jason first met, we met in the 8th grade, right?
What'd you call me?
Wait, who's Jason?
Who's Jason?
Son of a.
Oh, that's
I dead named you?
That's Fabio's friend, right? Jason. We
Yeah,
all know that
Fabio
guy.
and Jason, yeah.
those guys are they're cool, but forget them. Okay.
Yeah, I fired them.
Yeah.
I dead named him.
Don't be using my government name.
The friends of George are not the friends of the OUCHcast. Continue.
When me and Doyle first met, we were in the 8th grade, and we actually met arguing over
Worst
who
day
was
of my
be-
life.
who was better, Bret Hart or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I was right.
I think Austin has out.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, long story short is that when we ended up meeting, it eventually came out like, oh, you wrestle in a group, I wrestle in a group, you're their champ, I'm their champ. Well, let's freaking get a match going here.
Fucking WCW versus WWF.
Oh yeah. And so what happened is that we eventually set on a date, and I came with my belt, and Jason
You
was
came?
there.
Did he watch?
I saw this coming. This is just gonna devolve into oily men and gay jokes.
And Greco-Roman wrestling.
And so what happened is that we showed up. I got my belt. His cousins are right there. They have their tag team belt, but they were made of cardboard. So they immediately threw their belts to the side and
Hey,
ran
not
over.
everybody can afford to waste a tire. You know what I'm saying? We were poor. You did what to your bike? Oh,
It wasn't.
It was
what I
his
did.
sister's bike.
Hey, the inner tube was already done. It had a hole in it. There was no coming back for that. So
Yeah,
I just
see,
repurposed it.
we didn't have the luxury of keeping things like that around. That got thrown in the trash immediately.
Did you say
So-
Immediately.
Man, he. That is some wordplay right
Yeah.
there. That is okay. All right.
I'm gonna be making up a lot of words here today.
That's fun.
so-
Fantabulistico.
You want to tell him who won that, Doyle?
Well, shut up. Okay, look, this is what happened. So he won. All right, he barely won. He just won. Okay, I didn't quit.
Yeah,
I didn't quit though.
Doesn't
I didn't
matter
quit.
if you win by
Was
an
it- was
inch
it
or
'cause
a
he-
mile.
Yes, it does.
Was it because he had more heart? I mean, like, can you?
No, it's
Was
because.
it because he was covered in semen?
Let
'cause
me
he
just
came?
let me just throw a caveat out there because of the fact that he won. It was his stepdad who called the match, and I didn't quit. I just want to throw that out there. I just throw it out there. There was biased.
It was like if you didn't have a cousin who worked against you.
Yeah, that did happen. My cousin tried to help me out while I was like in a Boston crab, and like
It
pulled
wasn't
me.
a Boston
Well,
crab.
we're
my
close
friend.
enough, you know.
It was a freaking full Nelson camel clutch.
Whatever. Don't get technical here.
You couldn't get out.
All right, I got some questions for you, some wrestling questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
Wrestling.
favorite ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon,
Negative.
or the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian,
That's the
Negative.
one.
versus the Dudley Boys.
Negative.
Okay, what was yours?
Wait, of those two?
Yeah, it's between those two. I mean, you could say the other ones if it's not one of those two. But those
Okay.
are just two that I looked up.
I remember the Hardly
Dudley.
Dudley. Sorry, no, I remember them. They were just.
He hardly remembers.
I
the
never
Dudleys.
liked the Dudleys.
Yeah.
Never liked the Dudley.
But no, the Hardy.
The Hardy Boys.
The Hardy Boys and
Edge and Christian.
So they were-
Christian were always great. They would bring in that physicality from the from some of the off-brand wrestling stuff. I remember that.
Yeah,
I mean, that,
the flying shit,
and
like
so
Rey Mysterio
the late
stuff and all
'90s
that.
and early 2000s, man, it was all about that. And I really dug that.
RVD.
The
Yeah.
Lucha Libre.
Yeah, the Lucha Libre, the fucking high flying shit.
So there is a fantastic match. You can go on YouTube and look this up. There's a match between Eddie Guerrero and Edge, and it is not even a ladder match. It's just no DQ. But they start pulling out ladders.
That's
and it
nice, but we're talking
became-
about ladder matches, right?
Yeah,
This is good. Let's
Oh, I'm
get-
sorry.
Eddie
go on.
Guerrero pulls out a ladder match.
Latino Heat.
Yes.
Did you just say yes?
Maybe.
he wants it to get.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last Ouchcast.
This is the best Ouchcast. Yeah, so if you go on YouTube and you look up a match between Edge and Eddie Guerrero, as great as those, as I think it was WrestleMania 17 with that ladder match, with the triple threat ladder match,
Yeah.
The first TLC, and then SummerSlam the same year or the following year had the next TLC match. Those matches are great, but for me, like, there's so much going on at times, like it just started to kind of like burn me out. Like it doesn't have like that old school psychology. But that match between Edge and Eddie Guerrero, like, it was not expected to be that good, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a fan or like know the guys to appreciate that. So that was mine.
That's a good one. What about you, Enrique? Anything?
No, I already said it. Yeah, it was for me. It was the Hardy
The Hardy
Boys,
Boys?
the Hardy Boys and Edge. Those were good. I mean, I remember the Dudley brothers and stuff, and they were fun too. But no,
I never liked them. Like Spike Dudley and all the other ones.
Yeah, well, they always felt like B players in an A player game. I know everyone was a superstar. They just they had a shtick. It was fun.
I always liked the jobbers. Like what was his name? Mike Sharp. You guys remember that guy?
No. That
Goes to show you how much of a jobber
Yeah.
that guy was.
They're basically like back in the days before SmackDown and all that. They had like Saturday morning wrestling. Back
remember
in the days.
that.
Okay, so they used to have these wrestlers come out and like they were just jobbers. Like in the ring, 250 pounds from New Jersey, Brunswick, New Jersey. Iron Mike Sharp, and then this fucking pudgy guy would show up.
Yeah, you know that guy's gonna lose.
And then all of a sudden, and then the other side is like, and the Red Rooster against them. The Red Rooster comes. It's like, obviously, who's gonna fucking lose that match. And it was always like that on those matches. It was never a superstar versus a superstar. It was always a big superstar versus someone that you've never heard of. It's like
They
like
still
the
do
janitor.
That. They still do that, which is, the squash match. It is a staple in wrestling where they put this unknown guy against this new guy, and the unknown guy is supposed to be like this unassuming, like, smaller guy, and the whole point of a squash match is to establish this other guy as a star and make him look fantastic, right? And so like my favorite squash matches are like they bring out like a dude who's like 6'7", and then they bring out like this little like poor jobber guy who's like 4'6".
You know who had entertaining squash matches?
Who?
Yoko.
I felt bad.
Yokozuna?
Yokozuna.
Yeah.
He did a handicap squash match, and he lined them one on top of the other, and then Banzai dropped them both.
I remember that.
I hate to be the guy at the bottom.
Man, I hate to be either one.
Dude, I bet that he smells like garlic,
I'm not even gonna.
vinegar,
for the
There
record.
it is.
and ashy mold, like all together, like. And you don't even have to be in the crack. I think it's just like
Terrible,
like on the
that's
belt.
terrible.
You know,
God rest-
Imagine
God
that-
rest his soul.
Remember that ass smell that he could probably had?
Who do you think
Imagine
smelled
that?
worse, Rikishi
Rikishi
or Yoko?
They're cousins.
No, not
Yeah,
Rikishi. No, yeah, they are cousins.
But who
no.
smelled worse?
Yoko.
You think Yoko smelled-
Yokozuna, because he's wearing the big fucking pants and stuff, so he's like, no big deal. Rikishi has ass cheek exposed, so you know he's doing like cocoa butter and shit on that stuff, you know?
Okay, but this is all true and all. But
So you know he's like, I gotta fucking take care of that, because
But
he's
you
like,
had to
he's
get
part
a
of that
face.
big fucking dump truck.
You had to get a face full, like nose in there, like tickle, 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 tickle,
Breathe to your mouth.
tickle, tickle, tickle,
Breathe
tickle,
to
tickle.
your mouth.
I feel bad for all the the guys who got paid tons and tons of money and wrestled at that era, because there's no amount of money that's gonna ever make me live down that scene. And that clip is on YouTube forever. It's the best. It's a compilation of ass face
Stink
from
face.
Rikishi. Yeah, the stink faces from Rikishi. He's just everybody's got
And you
a
know
booty.
that there had to be one time where things weren't going particularly well for him. Maybe he was gassy. Maybe he went to the restroom right before.
Something. You know it happened.
You know what, that big white ass, he did not wipe properly. That's all I'm saying. You know how big it is. You know there are some dingleberries in that
Yeah,
fucking
that's
thing,
what
dude.
he's saying.
Yeah,
They're just saying
there's
that
some
there's-
dingleberries in that shit.
So
literally you're like, "Bleh."
would you rather take the bonsai drop from Yokozuna or a stink face from Rikishi?
Bonsai, bonsai, bonsai.
Banzai.
Boing.
Boing. Oh my god.
Well, do you remember when they would take off the sumo belt and then they would like make them like rub it in their face?
Oh yes. Jesus.
What was it? Tiger Ali Singh. He took his shoe off and made that dude eat like a toe jam cracker. And I'm sure that like it was like some sort of food that they put down there.
But
and
still,
he
this is
washed his
still-
feet. Yeah, he washed his feet or whatever. But like. He didn't wash his feet all the time, so this dude had like the worst corns in like the history of like Arkansas, and then like he takes his boot off and he's like, "Eat this cracker," and the guy ate it for like $50, and I was like, "Nah,
$50 you say?
$50."
He's all like, tell me more.
Enrique-
I have 4 kids.
Okay, so the $1 Million Man used to say everybody has a price.
Yes.
And he
$3.
Angel doesn't have much of a price.
Right?
But the $1 Million, there's this great moment, and I want to know if you remember this.
Okay.
Totally racist. Let me just bring this up.
Well, are you gonna bring up Virgil?
Well, that of course
his,
that
like,
was
his manslave.
carry my bags, boy.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, but so they bring up this little boy in the audience, and the $1 Million Man tells him, "If you can bounce this basketball like 13 times, I will give you $100." And this kid is looking like, "Wow, $100." This is like in the 80s, like 86. So that was a lot of money. So the kid starts bouncing the ball. He get in the crowd's with him, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets to like 8, 9, and then the $1 Million Man kicks the ball away from him. He's like, I didn't say it was gonna be easy. I laughed so hard. I still
$1
to
Million
this day.
Man has one of the best laughs.
He's still alive, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Where's he at? Impact?
what you left
No.
out though, I'm so sorry to, but what you left out was that the boy was a little black boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that part? Because this kid, man, he's like the most cutest little innocent looking boy, and he's sitting there as he's doing this, and he's talking, and then he just humiliates him in front of like all these people. It was. Of course, I remember. It was brutal.
Fun fact: that little boy was Michael B. Jordan.
No way.
I'm just messing with you guys.
Oh shoot! Damn! I thought I killed your punchline because I said that.
I thought I was gonna
Punchline, I get it. Creed 3.
I thought he was gonna say, and that little boy was me.
Shoot, I'd have took his money and ran.
Little boy.
They wouldn't have put
Little
Doyle on.
boy.
They wouldn't have put Doyle on camera. Doyle would have got mad. You kicked the ball. I'm snatching that 100, and I'm jumping in the crowd, and the crowd is gonna beat the crap out of you. You come over here.
So I'm looking at an article now, and apparently, because I hadn't thought about that in a long time. So thank you for reminding me, because I'm gonna go home and watch that video again because that was great. But apparently, Ted DiBiase actually reunited with the kid later on. So there's like a photo of them reuniting again. I mean, I'm guessing guessing there was a little bit of like damage control, maybe. Who knows?
Awesome.
But I mean, dude, yeah, that was not a good look. I mean, first of all, he has a man, dude. Virgil was like a man slave, is what it was. It was terrible.
He wore a bow tie.
He did, and
and no shirt.
He had. Remember, he had the.
Some might say Virgil was living a fine life.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And he had that porno 80s hair.
Let me just help.
Like Samuel L. Jackson in what
in anything.
No, you know what's that movie? The Quentin Tarantino, the Django.
The Django.
Yeah, there you go.
So
just like that, right?
If you've seen Virgil lately, you know he's at like every Comic-Con. Just for the record,
Of course, he needs some money.
But there's nobody there. There's never anybody. I know it's sad. There's a whole Reddit called Sad Virgil, and it's all pictures of like him at the cons by himself. Like no one's in his line. No one goes to talk to him. But he's like the most like
Nicest
lovable
guy.
Yeah, he's the nicest, most lovable guy.
We should have him on the podcast.
Oh, dude, I would totally have Virgil on the
Virgil,
podcast.
if
He's
you're
got
listening,
some
dude,
stories.
we love you. Don't be sad. We don't have any fans either.
And we have no shame. So
we have no shame. So come on in.
Virgil has fans.
Virgil,
No.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I was like I was a little kid rooting for Virgil. Come on, Virgil! Until he joined the NWO, and then I was like, stop doing my man Virgil like that.
Speaking of men versus boys, though, here, how about this one? You
Okay,
guys-
we're talking about wrestling. I don't want to talk about men versus boys.
Shh, listen.
I want you to remember one thing. You're a boy in a man's world. And I'm a man who loves to play with boys. No, wait a minute.
Dang, Kurt.
Shut up. Hold on, no. Shut up. Hold on a second. What I meant to say,
He didn't mean to say that.
listen.
Kurt was great.
Yeah, he was a great heel, man.
yeah, he was great.
Mysterio.
Oh,
Rey
Rey
Mysterio,
Mysterio.
what I meant to say is you're a boy and I'm a man. And tonight I'm gonna love to manhandle you.
So
That didn't make it any better.
So speaking of Kurt Angle and Ted DiBiase, there's just something about being a bad guy and being hated that I have, like, in recent years really come to respect in wrestling.
The villains are always so much more fun.
Well,
Almost so much fun. At least the heels, at least for me, are the good ones.
The villains make the heroes.
Yeah.
Without a good villain, if I don't hate you, I don't want to see you get beat up.
Case in point, I growing up, I never liked Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Never did. When he turned to Hollywood Hulk Hogan, oh, yeah, this guy's badass. Why? It was just because he was a bad guy and he had like fucking
So
the weird black beard with the white mustache.
it's funny.
That you took from Billy Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny because as I guess I was younger, I was like going through my teenage years during the whole NWO stuff, and I hated Hogan. I wanted everybody to beat Hogan all the time because he was that coward, that heel. He would like, and what's funny is like going back now, like I really appreciate it because he was a scumbag. But like, if you ever listen to the commentary of Bobby the Brain Heenan before when he's like a good guy, Bobby the Brain Heenan was always on his case. He was like, Hogan's not a good guy. He's a terrible guy. And then like when you saw him become a bad guy, he was like the worst bad guy next to Vince McMahon that there ever was in all of wrestling. So it's like, it's incredible that, you know, you can be loved 1 second and hated, and it's just a manipulation of the audience. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I growing up, I did love Hulk Hogan. I mean, I bought into the whole hero thing. I loved the, you know, like the whole shtick, you know, what was it, the 25 inch pythons and like.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah,
Eat your vitamins. Do your Wheaties.
I watched the cartoons, right? Remember his Saturday morning
Let your
cartoon?
son kill his best friend. Oh wait, that's never mind.
Remember the movies? No Holds Barred. I totally went and watched
Holds
that.
Barred.
I saw
How
that.
about Mr. Nanny?
Suburban Commando.
Suburban Commando. Suburban Commando. Mic drop.
I watched it. I watched all that. I was all in. I was all in, man. Hulk Hogan was
You were
cool.
all in Hulk Hogan?
I was. Yeah, I was all in.
Wow.
Yeah, I was all into Hulk Hogan.
Breaking news, everyone. Enrique was in
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
Okay. So in in an effort to bridge the gap a little bit. I've always thought like certain matches, right? You know, like there's always the concept of dream matches. Like a few years ago, we got The Rock and John Cena, and that was supposed to be like it was like a dream match come true, you know, because like John Cena was like this new era's generation of like slick talking like wrestling fan, and then like you had The Rock, and of course The Rock is The Rock. And so the thing that like in watching, you get these moments within wrestling that you'll never get. You would never get LeBron James versus Michael Jordan.
No.
It just, there's no way. But you can totally pull this off in like wrestling. And so like one of my dream matches that I think would be amazing is, like you said, Hollywood Hogan, because he's like the ultimate bad guy, against like peak prime John Cena when he was like super good guy, like suck up to the kids, baby face, like kissing babies, shaking hands kind of thing. And for him to go against Hollywood Hogan, that would be a dream match that I would pay to see.
Right.
I when John Cena wasn't around, I dropped out, so I don't know much about him. Like,
he's a big dude.
I know his shtick was like really lame to me. Like I remember like some kind of like
he was playing up to the you know, the whole hip hop culture. He was he was like
wigger.
Sure, you said it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's what he was, right? And so he was supposed to appeal to that, and they did. It worked. I mean, it worked. I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, I think we had the same discussion on our last OUCHAMANIA last year, and I still feel the same. Like for me, it was always that Hulk Hogan versus The Rock match. Now I know, you know, they since like, you know, got the behind the scenes stuff is way more interesting, especially the little back and forth they had on I want to say it was on Instagram or social media where they were talking. You can sort of you heard sort of like their varying opinions or differences in opinions. Yeah, mind you, mixed in with what we know now more about Hulk Hogan being, well, not a really good person. Yeah. You know, mind you, I know that there's a lot of recently there's been a lot of more apologists like siding with him because, you know, he was going through some weird divorce. He was like hopped up on drugs, and, you know, so apparently there was a lot of like excuses for why those, you know, 15 years were kind of weird for him.
I disagree on that excuse.
Sure,
yeah.
He was way worse than that in the 80s, and there were no
that's what I heard.
Divorces.
Yeah, that's just excuses on his end.
But nevertheless, that fight to me was still like the bridging of the 80s and really a golden era of wrestling into the new age, which was the Attitude Era, and those two coming together was like magic. It was so cool. Like it will never, like this John Cena and The Rock. I mean, maybe because I'm not an avid fan as I was when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Those matches don't really excite me. I mean, I'd probably watch it on YouTube, cool, but nah, man, it will always be that Hulk Hogan meeting. I mean, it would have been cool if it was like Macho Man meeting The Rock. You know, for me, it would be the same thing. Like that. I remember when Sting first came out on WWE for like a hot minute before he did, nah, fuck, I'm out. I don't like this. That was incredibly cool, and I really dug that. So those are the type of things that I remember, and that's what excited me. So, anyways.
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty cool because I think people skim over like some of the lesser known, you know, with like Hogan and John Cena. I think the thing is like both of them crossed into mainstream. They're, you know, that's the thing about like those matchups. You know, the reason why The Rock got compared to John Cena is like look at them now. They're both in movies. Yeah. They're both crossed over. They're both like the biggest names at one point. And so there's like this whole concept of like passing the torch. And there was this amazing like question that was asked: who's the greatest of all time, right? Mm-hmm. And so we start off with Bruno Sammartino, who like was like the guy. Mm-hmm. And then he passes the torch to Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan is the guy. Now I know like some people would like to throw Shawn Michaels in that list, but I'm skipping over Shawn because I think that was like a low point in wrestling for a lot of people.
Some would say Andre.
I would say Shawn Michaels would have if he would have exited gracefully, but the fact that he stuck around really, for me, tarnished his career.
I think he saved his legacy at the end, though.
You think so? I didn't follow it afterwards, but like I was really into the Rockers and the whole transition, and him when he was the Heartbreak Kid. I really
you were
enjoyed
into
that.
His transition.
I was into his transition. Their transition. Sorry, their transition. But I really. I think after a while, I was like, okay, when he was in DX and all that, I think he stuck around a little too long for my taste, but I did enjoy him a lot. Now, what's funny is when you're talking about passing the torch, do you guys remember how the WWF wanted to pass the torch from Hulk Hogan to Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Yes, those are the failed
Yeah,
passings.
and then they were like, "Oh fuck, this guy's nuts." No, never mind. Cancel.
It's funny because I've been hearing so many stories about how bad the Ultimate Warrior is. Sorry, Ray, I got to tell it like it is.
He was really bad.
He behind. Okay, so many. The art of wrestling is you got to come to the ring and then have a match, and when you are in the match and you get exhausted, it's called getting blown up.
Okay.
And so they have all these terminologies behind the scenes so that the wrestlers can communicate with each other very quickly. So if you get tired in the middle of a match, you just go, "I'm blown up," and then they know to like kind of stomp on you and put you in like a chokehold and like hold you
cut it
down
out
for a little bit
and
so you
finish
can,
it off, yeah.
So the Ultimate Warrior was always blown up by the time he ran down to the ring, and the longer the entrance ramp was, the more tired he was going to be. So that's
because he's always raging from the point from backstage. He's pumping himself up.
Yeah.
He's always pumped up. He's already like, so by the time he lets go and gets the ripcord out and fucking takes off, so he gets to the man. Okay, I'm fucking done, dude.
That guy, like, whenever I think of like, you know, like the drug problem that was rampant in sports entertainment, I look at him and think,
there's no drugs in that.
Right.
Come on.
Right. I think of him and I remember how tight those strings around his wrist and his elbows.
That
and
was
you
for
can
a reason.
see those like those veins popping out, and it was just like I remember like even at that didn't look or feel normal.
No.
That looked like I remember I had a friend named Sergio who he was the same age as me, but he was a kid who grew up working out with his dad. Like I mean when he was like 10 years old, so he was already pretty ripped by the time we were in high school. I mean, you know, like the only kid I knew who had like a genuine six pack, not because he was skinny, but because he was buff. But I remember like we used to always tell him like he was like the Ultimate Warrior because he'd have all those veins in his hand and stuff. But even in comparison, dude, like I mean, like the Ultimate Warrior had some insane like veinage on his hand, dude. It's insane. But that makes him so I had no idea it was called blown up. That's
I didn't know that either, but
Yeah.
I did know about all the shit that he used to get into the back
Right.
and the behind.
steroids and cocaine is one heck of a mixture.
So then the next passing the torch would have been The Rock with Hulk? Hogan?
No.
Because
Okay.
it's basically there's a thing where basically the way they like symbolize the passing of the torch is basically where the champ or the main guy
Right.
raises the hand of the other guy.
Either
It was
that,
like the rising star.
well, they do. So traditionally, the passing of the torch boils down to they have a one-on-one match,
Right.
and then this person in this one-on-one match, after he loses, is supposed to kind of like give up the ring and say like, "This is the new guy. This guy's like, you know, he's it now. Like I'm passing, you know, like I'm gonna step away, but this guy's gonna be the new guy. He's gonna take my place, basically."
Right.
So like, at one point, The Rock tried to pass the torch to Brock Lesnar.
I remember that.
And when Brock Lesnar took the torch, he was now the guy. So he was taking the Rock spot. And what happened is, what ended up happening is Brock Lesnar ended up leaving. So you leave a void. You leave a void where there's no one to take over. And because there's no one to take over, you have like this empty spot and they don't have a superstar. Well, that's actually how John Cena got elevated. I think it was WrestleMania 23 where they had to appoint a new guy and they needed a new guy. So because Brock Lesnar and Goldberg were leaving, it was John Cena and Batista that actually got elevated into those spots. But
I forgot about Bautista.
they ran into John Cena was way more popular than,
But no, can I talk about Bautista for a minute?
Sure. Yeah.
What happened to his face?
Who?
Bautista.
He got old.
Fast?
He was already old
He
when he got
started
it.
when he was like 36 or
Yeah,
something.
if you think about how old he
older
was
than
when he
Diamond
broke-
Dallas when he came
Yeah,
in.
he was already in his late 30s when he got into it. And so
When Diamond Dallas came in, he was the
Diamond
oldest
Dallas
wrestler
Page.
that had started. And then when Batista came in, he took that title.
Have you seen Diamond Dallas Page right now?
Recently?
Yeah.
No, but
He
I know
looks
that he was
great.
doing really good.
Yeah,
because
that
of his
yoga is no joke.
That yoga shit is no joke, man. He looks amazing.
the best I've ever felt in my entire life, no matter how much I work out, is when I did yoga.
Yeah.
I know, like, as a Christian, we're not supposed to do yoga and stuff like that, and you know, I get that, but
Heretic, because it's supposed to be like a religious experience.
I got
like
it.
yoga comes. It's
comes
where
from
it
the
comes
guru.
from. It's
Where do you come from?
The poses are spiritual in its origin.
Yes.
So what are we opening ourselves up to spiritually? Is what the
chakra.
is the concept.
That's super interesting. I mean, I know that this is a little off topic, but I had yesterday a conversation with a friend who really believes in that stuff. And the short of it is, she spoke exactly in those terms about opening yourself up, but she's not Christian at all. She's what you call a pagan, right? And her a self-proclaimed
She pegs
pagan
herself?
and stuff. You know, and so. Yeah, she pegs herself. Yeah.
Does she peg herself a yogi?
A yogi?
Hey,
But
yo,
I'm
boo-boo.
gonna tell you what though. I've
Peg
watched
me right here. Ho, ho, ho.
I've watched a lot of
Porn?
Shut up. I've watched a lot of look, my voice is cracking. I'm going. I'm
Shut up.
going through puberty as I'm saying this because have you guys ever watched like yoga videos on YouTube?
No.
Negative.
No, I haven't.
It is very, very spiritual, my friends. Very spiritual.
The only
very
the,
spiritual.
the closest I can get to that is probably watching a video with someone going yoga flame.
Because you're dumb.
So we're
There's something called porn, dude. Yeah.
Dude, you
okay.
know, mystery.
No.
So here's
your mystery.
Here's something that's interesting.
Yes.
Put it
Speaking
away.
of yoga,
Put it away.
not that thing.
Oh.
Did you guys know that Trish Stratus does a lot of yoga and she still looks great for her age?
I was
Is
about
she?
to ask because she's still in the WWE. I know that
She is?
She's having a match at WrestleMania.
She
I'll
is.
be damned.
It is Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus.
I saw Lita and jeez.
Dude.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus, man. She for me when I think of like the divas of the time, dude, she's up there. Trish Stratus and also oh gosh, what was that one? She came out on How I Met Your Mother. She beautiful.
Tori?
No, not Tori. Stacy
Oh,
Keibler.
Stacey Keibler. She used to be one of the Nitro girls, wasn't she?
Yeah,
she
that's what I
was.
was-
You know,
she had a very
lovely.
pretty face,
Lovely.
but
Okay, so
you know who I actually think is like not really given enough credit to and like kind of disappeared. Do you remember Gorgeous George, the girl?
yes, I do.
Whatever happened to her? I mean, I know. I bet she looks like crap now.
Okay, so she was making a name for herself in WCW, and the WWE wanted to buy out her contract, but unfortunately for the WCW girls, they were just kind of considered bimbos. And then, but Gorgeous George kind of had a character,
Yeah.
until the Macho Man slapped her live on TV.
Oh, I remember that.
I don't remember that.
It is a clip on YouTube. You can check it out if you.
Yeah.
It is
Look it up.
in the 90s.
You could get away with so much more shit.
I'm not gonna lie, it was hard to watch then. Like, Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson is in the background, and Gorgeous George gets in trouble with the Macho Man, and Macho Man like throws her in a room and is like screaming at her and raging out. And I swear, it's off camera, but we know she's getting beat. And there's a moment where Tori's like, she starts smirking and laughing, and to keep her in character because she's supposed to be afraid, the Macho Man gave her a nice little slap and tickle. You know what I mean? He said, "Hey, like, keep in character."
Don't you even do nothing.
Wow.
That is how the old school guys would protect the product. They
Yeah.
would go that far.
You couldn't break
That's what I
character.
heard. I did hear. I heard lots of stories about like there's all these like backroom politics and how they would handle people who would either hurt each other like or break those established rules.
Yeah, or if they just didn't respect
Wrestler's
you or
court.
take you. Like, wrestlers court.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, what's that?
Wrestlers court, and the judge on top was, believe it or not, the Undertaker.
No, really?
For one case,
Dude, I would love to see a show just based around that concept.
you
That sounds
are not
great.
wrong. Wait, dude,
That sounds great.
It's fucking amazing.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
give you one case in particular. Do you guys remember The Miz?
Yes. Yes.
Which he was from what? He was from a reality TV show. Then he went to Tough Enough, and then he graduated into wrestling. I was
right.
I was already long gone by that point. Okay, but I know who he is at least, right? So when he came into the WWE, they didn't accept him right away. They're like, he's a fucking joke.
Okay.
So they really gave him a hard time. And one of the things they said is like, "Hey man, you can't dress in the locker room with us. You're not one of us."
Oh shoot.
So the poor guy had to, like, every single time he was not accepted, but he still had a match, he was still in contract.
Yeah.
He would go into the janitor's closet or the hallways to get dressed and
sucks.
change.
Talking about The Miz?
The Miz.
Yeah.
For the longest time.
Wow.
It was like that. It wasn't accepted until the Undertaker started seeing him and seeing like, oh, this guy's legit. He's putting in the hours, he's putting in the work. He's not complaining or anything like that.
He wasn't complaining. He was
just
going through the program.
He knew that it was part of the ritual. Like, hey, I'm not gonna fucking bitch and moan until they accept me for my talent, not because of who I am. So I give that guy more respect because of that.
Sure.
So he went on and he actually went and he went to talk to the Undertaker and said like, "Hey man, is there any way?" Because I think someone, I don't remember who it was, but I think it was, I don't know, was it CM Punk? Someone came up to the Miz and told him, "Dude, this is not right, dude. You're one of us. You should be in the thing.
Yeah.
But I cannot bring you in. You have to get the approval of
The court.
Right. Which is funny because it tells you how much power the Undertaker had.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go to Vince McMahon, who was the owner. They didn't give a shit.
No. Well, that's the thing. So it wasn't just the Undertaker, but the Undertaker was the most respected guy.
He was the most respected one, yeah.
And so Wrestlers Court was a way. It's the way that the guys police themselves in the locker room, because if Vince punishes you, he's gonna fine you. He's gonna take money away. And so, like, sometimes if you're in the ring and you kick a guy in the face too hard, you could be taking away his livelihood. So the wrestlers had to police themselves in a sense, because Vince is not going to punish you for kicking a guy in the face. But if you kick like 10 guys in the face and you're taking away their livelihood because they can't wrestle the next week, the guys are going to have to say something to you. And so, like, of course, if it's just me and that guy who kicked me in the face and I go to him, there's going to be an argument. Now it's like a lot of testosterone and macho. And so the guy who's leading Wrestlers Court is the most respected, most badass guy in the locker room. Like, if you think you're gonna step up to that guy when all the other guys respect him, that's the whole concept of Wrestlers Court. And so what was interesting about the Miz is he got kicked out of the locker room for eating a cookie over someone's bag.
Yes, that's what it was.
He was a reality TV star, and they really didn't
was an
accept
excuse.
It really is an excuse because they wanted him to pay his dues.
Because he won. He got there because he was in a reality show that was allowing access to them, and he didn't go through the usual channels that all the other guys went through, which is, all the amateur matches and blah blah blah.
He went from the reality show straight to Tough Enough, and from Tough Enough he got the
in all fairness, and I do want to give the Miz some credit, because when he was on that reality show, he said he wanted to be a wrestler.
Okay.
And so when he made it into wrestling, he clearly didn't have it. Like, he just didn't have what it took to be a wrestler. But I think he has actually developed into a halfway decent character.
That's what I've heard,
It's more for the new school. He's not the greatest bad guy of all time, but he has had some moments where I could go, you know what, as a wrestling fan, I don't hate the guy. And, it was not how I felt when I first saw him. So there are definitely, he has definitely grown on me, and he definitely deserves his credit and respect. He's not the greatest, so I'm not putting him on a pedestal, but I'm saying he's a part of the show, and he deserves to be a part of the show.
I respect him for going through the bumps and for not complaining. I respect him for that. And even though I'm not a big reality show fan, and I don't whatever, but you know what? He did his dues. My respects. Moving on from him. But yeah, there's a lot of Wrestler Court stories that are like fucking amazing. A whole series of that would be freaking amazing.
That sounds pretty awesome. I mean, I'd love to hear more about those. I mean, is there any other popular stories you guys know of in those?
There's so many Wrestlers Courts. They said, like, the most common thing, in Wrestlers Court is, like, you get caught doing something you weren't supposed to do.
You're fucking with someone's wife,
or girl, and so, like,
I hear that a lot of that happened.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of that.
Well,
in the 80s,
look
there
what
was
happened to Sonny.
True.
Look at what happened to Sonny. What was the name of the Sonny, and what was the name of the guy? I forgot the guy.
Sonny and Cher. No, I'm just kidding.
Chris Candido.
They were the Body Donnas.
Chris Candido, I think.
Chris. Yeah, Sonny and Chris. But that was not his name on the thing. It was like, he had another name because they were doing like the whole, bodybuilder kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Body Donnas. They were actual couple that came up together.
Okay.
They really were. But she started getting into drugs.
Oh.
And the people that would give her the drugs would also use her.
Oh, shoot.
And even in his presence, and he would just be, cucked on the side like, oh, well, what can I do? Because these were either someone that was respected in the industry or, as they say, also his boss. And I mean, I don't know. That's the story that I hear. Rumor,
Sure.
The views of that rumor, not the views of the Ouchcast. But hey, man, the evidence is there. And it broke up their relationship. It really did. And then she's now off on OnlyFans doing some shit.
She's in jail right now.
She's in jail again for the thing? I thought she made bail.
She killed someone.
Oh.
Did she?
Yeah. DUI, hit and run. She killed someone.
Shit.
Here's actually a bit of that story that a lot of people don't know, but it's speculated. And so this is totally speculation because it's not proven. But who she was cheating on when they found out she was in a relationship with Shawn Michaels backstage.
Yes.
So she was hooking up with.
Yes.
And this is where he got his nickname, the Heartbreak Kid. No, I'm just kidding.
No. He had it, but he was. That's
but
Starting
it was-
rumors, guys. Starting rumors.
it
that's
was-
that's not a rumor though. She admitted
Wait,
it. There's
I got
a video.
more.
I bet you
more.
do, boy. A big boy.
So here is the crux behind it all. There was actually an alleged love triangle because Bret Hart had feelings for her.
Oh,
and
wow.
this is where the Montreal Screwjob stems from. Bret and Shawn hated each other because they were fighting over Sonny.
Yeah, I heard that
and
too.
because they were fighting over Sonny, like one lost the belt to the other, and then the other one didn't want to accept the belt, and or didn't want to give up the belt, and so when Bret's contract was going to be up, he didn't want to drop the belt to Shawn. That was the whole thing. He didn't want to lose the belt in his hometown, and he didn't want to lose the belt to Shawn.
Right.
He hated Shawn.
Yeah.
If it was somebody else, he probably would have passed the torch, no problem. But because it was Shawn, and Shawn was such a douchebag back in those days, and if you've heard any of those, if you've watched any of those great documentaries on Vice, they are fantastic.
I
by
watched
the way.
one of them specifically about that, and yeah, I remember like him saying that, like at some point he capitulated to the belt change, but they wanted it to be like by this what was it? Not by count,
Disqualification?
yeah, they wanted it to be they want
Some kinda like that,
and instead, like I guess Vince McMahon had told him, we'll honor that, and
And
without being
he
told,
changed it the last story.
Right.
I saw that live.
Wow.
I saw that live, and I saw the Owen Hart incident.
I saw that one.
I saw that one live, and that
That's
was a hard one. But let's stick to this one. I remember seeing him get off like right after he got pinned, and Shawn Michaels, and I was a big Shawn Michaels fan, so I was excited.
Right.
But I remember seeing Bret Hart walk out, and he like took off his tights, and he was like just like motherfucker, like he was like wording it out.
Yes.
So that anger, you couldn't fake that, and that's why I was like, that's kind of when I started realizing, oh shit, this stuff is fake, but it's like, like
There's some stuff going on.
there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. There's the Owen Hart one, like I mentioned, that one was cruel because it was one of the first of the In Your House events,
Okay.
which they later started naming different things.
Okay.
And I remember knowing something happened because there was a weird cut.
Yes.
I had bought the paper. It was a weird cut, and there was a long pause, and then they just said there was an incident in the ring. They didn't say nothing else, and then they did a backstage interview with Jeff Jarrett and what was the name of the girl? Deborah? Was that her name? I don't remember. Deborah, his manager, the blonde girl with the cowboy hat and the whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And they
It's funny.
No, let's spend the next 20 minutes just thinking about it.
You
I
were
know.
trying to
Look it up.
describe her any other way, but
Yes, yes. But okay. But my point being is, like, I could tell with that interview it was just fluff because they were just talking about
course.
something that was nothing.
their fringes died.
And I could see Deborah. She was just like a deer caught in the headlights with red eyes, not saying anything.
Yeah.
And then they were like, while they were doing the interview, I could tell that Jeff Jarrett was very upset as well, but he wasn't saying, like, he was still trying to be in character.
Right.
And then I think it was what's his name, Michael Cole, who was doing the interview, and he basically confirmed that there was an incident where it happened, and there was an accident with Owen Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at that point, Deborah started crying, and Jeff Jarrett's voice broke up, and he's like, our hearts are with you, buddy. We love you, and Owen, and I hope you're okay, and this and that. But
the
at that
show
point,
must go
the show
on.
must go on.
The WWE was the first live show, I think, to like take place after 9/11.
Oh,
There was blood on the fucking mat, dude.
Of course,
There were big stains of blood on that mat.
Yeah, that's
Really?
huge. That whole instance. There's two instances that like completely changed wrestling. Owen Hart dying in the ring, and Chris Benoit. Those two
The Chris
things.
Benoit
they
was
changed.
fucking hilarious.
They changed.
Like, not hilarious, but it was like the way they handled it was hilarious.
so the Owen Hart thing about, and then I do want to ask about the Chris Benoit, because I'm the layman here, guys. Like out in the Squid Squad audience, I'm like as much as like I grew up watching it. I really after like the mid 2000s, like wrestling was more of a periphery thing. I hear the stories, so I'm really actually pretty amazed about like the knowledge that Doyle is bringing to this. I want to hear more, but I remember the Owen Hart thing. That was my era. That was still my I was at the tail end of it. But I remember even then, still thinking that wrestling was real. right? I still thought it. I mean, I was still very confused by it at that time because this was like 97, 98.
Yeah.
And I even remember, it's one of those instances where you remember where you were at when it happened, especially if you were a fan. Because I remember I was up north. I was staying at Cecilia's house at the time.
Oh, wow.
And
Hi, Ceci.
hi, Ceci. She was, she had this little apartment, and I remember she had gone to work because she was going to Berkeley, and I was staying in the apartment, and I turned on the TV, and just sort of trying to get a flavor of what the news was like up there, and like instantly they broke into that news about that, and I remember just sitting there just watching because I didn't watch it live, but I saw the footage up into I guess he was going to be sliding in, right?
No, he was going to come down from the top. He had a character called the Blue. What was it?
The Blue Blur.
The Blur. Yeah, and he was like a superhero. And he was over the top, so he was gonna actually come down from a cable from the top of the stadium down to like float down, but he wasn't hooked on properly. And then they also say that one of the hooks was not made for that weight and for that distance. So when he kind of slipped, it didn't take his weight. Yikes. And it cracked and he went straight down.
Yikes!
And I mean. Fortunately, there was no cameras rolling at the time, so there's no.
There was.
Apparently, there wasn't.
There was footage. I had the pay-per-view. It was live.
I was watching it live.
Yeah,
I don't remember no footage. I remember it
depending
out.
on who your provider was.
Mine was that one with the double CCs.
Remember how I said there were two instances that changed wrestling forever? Yeah. That one they put the pay-per-views on a delay.
Oh wow!
Remember they didn't have a delay because that's how they got away with like Sable taking her top off and having the hands and like having exposed. It's crazy because. In all of that,
Mark Maron, right?
No.
That was the name.
His name was Mark Merrow.
Mark Maron is the podcaster.
He has a great testimony for anybody who's a believer out there who wants to listen to him talk about like his life and drugs and stuff.
Kidding.
But
kidding.
Like with WrestleMania coming up. Like it's just around the corner, right? And so like we have like a bridge of old school and new school, and like they're trying to bridge as much as they can, right? And so like we have Roman Reigns, who's like the guy now.
Right, he's the guy, yeah.
And I was like comparing him to like a Stone Cold Steve Austin and like a Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
This year was actually supposed to be him versus The Rock, but they couldn't get The Rock. He wasn't available, so like he. Busy man. So that's why WrestleMania is, third generation wrestler Cody Rhodes, the son of Dusty Rhodes, versus Roman Reigns, who's part of like that lineage of like The Rock and like the Wild Samoans and all these guys. Yeah. And so like this year, the question becomes like, like with like Lita and Trish coming back with like Cody Rhodes, and like they were trying to get Stone Cold to come back, because I don't know if you guys ever actually went back and watched it, but last year when Stone Cold was actually a part of WrestleMania, I did not know he was part of it. Great.
He's always been great.
Yes. So what they did was first night, because WrestleMania is now over 2 nights, which is crazy. But it was during the first night they had a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And so Stone Cold, comes out, he has his little match or whatever with the new guy, and he beats the guy, and so it's like great, and everybody's like, yeah, Stone Cold, right? But then the night number 2, there's a moment where they have a new guy wrestling, but this new guy is like being endorsed by Vince, and Vince is like, yeah. And so when the new guy loses the match, Vince gets angry and is like, no, you're gonna fight me now. So he gets in the ring and he totally cheats and he totally wins, and now him and the new guy are jumping the guy that Vince is fighting. And so like the audience is so angry, like, oh, they're cheating, like they're bad, they're horrible, like shame on you, like boo Vince, boo. And then all of a sudden the glass shatters, and here comes Austin again, just like old school. And it was like this great callback moment to just like when Stone Cold used to like torment Vince. If you look it up, Vince's face in that reaction takes you right back to like prime WWF, like where you would see Austin show up and Vince would be like, oh no. But there's the worst stunner of all time that happens in that encounter, and it is totally worth watching that mess up, because it is a bad mess up.
So I want to ask, I was going to ask about the Chris Benoit thing, but maybe just move on from the morbid stuff. But more of the question that I want to ask now is, we still get excited about these old matches, but what where is the excitement now? What are people cheering on in this WrestleMania? What are the things people are excited about, and does any of it transcend wrestling and into the actual popular news, or is it just like, just steady as she goes? I mean,
well, we do what I think, like, since wrestling has been outed as like not, like the outcomes have been, predetermined, right? What's awesome about it is that, like, while that was kind of always part of wrestling, like, you were supposed to be able to suspend your disbelief and like believe like this guy really hates this guy and you're promoting a fight.
Right.
And so that always sells. Even to this day, one of the most believable wrestlers is Brock Lesnar, because he was a UFC champion.
Right.
And so when Brock Lesnar has matches and he's fighting a guy who's believable, it's probably like the most entertaining. Like, I think Brock Lesnar is so underrated as far as like his matches, because he can make a guy who seems like there's no way that guy's gonna be Brock Lesnar. He can make that guy seem like he's gonna win, even just for like 10 seconds, and it totally sucks the crowd in every single time. But he doesn't get credit for that because he always wins. But I mean, he's like the most believable wrestler there is. So when you put like these scenarios, these stories that make, two guys who hate each other like come together and like fight each other, that's what is the draw. Well, over the years, when they started to like get into like PG stuff and kiddie stuff, I think it really isolated the fans. I think it made people start to feel like you're kind of insulting my intelligence to say like this would happen or that would happen.
Sure, yeah.
And that's where the whole John Cena thing came in, because he was supposed to be, he started off like in an era where like everything was not PG, and people really liked him when he was not PG.
Yeah.
But then the company went in a different direction, and I think that's where like our generation just cut and just was like, I'm done, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because it was so stupid. Like, there was no blood. They barely fought. They barely punched each other, and it was just like, I'm not watching this. Like, I'm watching two people fight. And so when they took that away from us, it was like, I'm not going to watch that. But over the years, it's gotten a little bit more edgy. And so, like, when you ask the question, what is in it for people, it's still a spectacle. It's still a show. It's still a thing for people to, like, observe, to watch. There is athleticism. These
That's always been there, though.
Yeah.
That's
no
always
doubt
been there.
on that. I mean, the guys are firing on all cylinders. I mean, it's absolutely athletic. It may not be like a sport of like boxing or UFC fighting, where it is about that
No,
sort of
it's
skill
not.
set.
It's not a fair match.
Right.
It's just it's
It's a dance. It's
a
a dance.
yeah.
It's a routine, but it's an athletic routine, like gymnastics,
Yes,
like anything else,
yes.
and you can enjoy it for the repartee that it is. But
I've got a question for both of you, though.
Sure. What's
When
up?
was the first time you guys realized that it was fake?
I think it was after WrestleMania, I think 14, where Stone Cold won the championship and Mike Tyson punched Shawn Michaels in the face, and Shawn Michaels didn't have like a broken jaw, and he just took a punch square on the chin. I was
That's a
like,
very good one.
it is not real, because Mike Tyson kills people.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's
That
pretty
was
good.
it for me.
Enrique?
For me, that belief was still suspended up until when the court cases and where Vince McMahon,
The steroids and all that stuff?
yeah, and I remember that footage of him. It was on 2020 or 60 Minutes. I forget. It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Where they
Interchangeable.
showed him saying specifically, it is not real. The matches are predetermined, and I remember hearing that and going like, wow. And then suddenly, I can't recall which match I watched after that, but at that point, it didn't even matter. That's the moment I think of when I realized, like, this is fake. So obviously, it was a long time.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Hello?
How are you? My name is Isaiah, and I'm calling from BRI, and we're conducting a short survey on some important issues in the area, sir. Are you registered to vote in California? Sorry.
Yes?
Hello?
Yes?
You vote in California, sir?
Yes, I am.
And do you currently live in Los Angeles County?
No.
All right. Thank you for answering. You have a great night.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought that was going to be more interesting.
Oh, that was
What
awful.
the hell was that?
Yeah, the boo.
Never mind.
You should have like threw some lines at him. You should have like said, "Hey, do you like wrestling?
I wasn't
Who are
keep
you
on-
rooting for in the next
You should have said,
WrestleMania?"
who are you voting for in this next election? It doesn't matter who you're voting.
No, I didn't do anything because of the fact that I thought it was going to be fake, so I was going to keep going if it was fake. But
Guys,
because he's
this-
actually doing his job, I was like, I felt bad for the guy.
Okay, this is how professional we are.
In studio.
Yeah, in studio.
Hey
You
man,
know,
I had to do it. I thought it'd be funny.
He has been dying to do that since we started. He
Yeah.
has been wanting a scammer to call us.
I've been wanting a scammer, and that was very close.
Yeah, we're gonna get one for you guys. We're gonna
Soon.
get these.
So I've had some really great off the air stuff, but no, going back to the wrestling. thing.
no, I got, and we need to like just put a cap on this really quick
Okay.
because there is this like floating idea that Angel has had, and he swears by it. He calls it the. What do you call it again?
The Ghana Scama?
Yeah, the Ghana Scama.
Oh.
It's one where he went back and forth with this person, and it's more interesting than really funny. But the idea that Angel has about how to present it to the audience, the Squid Squad, was pretty good. But we just never got around to doing it. It was
It'll probably be on the Patreon.
oh, there you
I'll
go.
probably put it on the Patreon
But-
as little chapters.
But know that this is something that's been in the oven for like
2 years.
Yeah,
2
for
years.
years. So just too funny. So that right there was a little attempt
Taste of what I do.
of one. Yeah.
Yeah, I always waste
Yeah,
their
he
time.
was gonna get him. You know what? To wrap this up, I think with all the wrestling and the stuff that we've like experienced and stuff. Who do you guys remember? Like your favorite celebrity that like appeared and had a match?
RoboCop.
That's
No,
hilarious.
RoboCop did not
Yeah.
show up. That's a lie.
He did show up in WCW.
What?
And rescued Sting from
And rescued Sting by
cage.
doing nothing.
No.
He supposedly bent bars. They look more rubbery than a fucking
Bars.
condom, dude.
No, that's bad. I don't recall
And Sid
that.
Vicious and who were the other ones?
There was a guy named Sid Vicious, like the punk dude.
No, Sid Vicious. Yeah, Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Johnny Rotten know about this? God save the queen, man.
Sid, the heels
Psycho
were
Sid.
there was 3 heels. There was Psycho Sid and God, I forget who the other ones were, but basically they did the whole caroling back kind of thing, like in the movies, like no, don't do it, like and Sting and him are like yeah, and RoboCop is just standing there like, being robotic. It was the most funniest thing. Didn't Chucky also do it?
Chucky appears, but he doesn't have a match. My thing was who had matches.
Oh,
right?
matches? David Arquette. David Arquette because it ruined the fucking WCW belt.
That match was terrible. Okay, so believe it or not, at this next WrestleMania, Logan Paul is going to be wrestling against Seth Rollins.
Logan
ask
Paul.
Exactly. That's exactly. But see, that reaction is exactly why he's a great wrestling bad guy.
If I can say, I am gonna go on record right now to say that Logan Paul is an asshole.
Yes.
I hate him, but I understand now why people are excited about this sort of crap from him. And so you know what? I ain't gonna knock it, other than to say I just don't. In the same way that I don't participate in any of the Kardashian bullshit
Yeah,
or
me neither.
any of that stuff. It's the same thing with me. I'm just like I'm not gonna buy into it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I get it. He is somebody that people are gonna probably watch more because of that.
So, for the record, I could care less about the guy. But since he's on the show, I'm just going to root that he loses and that he gets his head stomped in. And that's kind of the point.
I was about to say a really dark joke, but I'll say it off air. That I want to happen
wow.
to him.
If he's really going to say it off air, then
So,
it's really dark.
Out of respect,
what you mean dark?
That's racist. But yeah, no comment on any of the Paul boys.
I challenge you to watch his match at WrestleMania last year.
Nope.
And then go back and watch Snooki's match at WrestleMania.
Wait.
I said what I said.
Snooki?
Snooki. And
Snooki.
So
Snooki hungry.
I think you'd have more. I think you'd have more luck having this like thing put up in Angel's.
Anal beads?
There
Oh
you go.
boy.
So Brock Lesnar versus Omos, right?
Almost.
Okay,
I'm
so
disappointed in that.
I don't know who the fuck that is. Any of those people.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Brock Lesnar to kill him.
So now
Do I have to still pay for pay-per-view for WrestleMania?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, then I'm not.
All right, so
It's
Raw
on Peacock,
Women's-
I think.
If it's on Peacock, I'll watch it.
I think it's on Peacock
No, it might. I'm pretty sure you. How would that be free on Peacock? I'm sure people
because you're already paying for the service, so they just offer it as a part of the service.
Okay. I mean, if that's the case, I'll watch it.
If it's on there, I'll watch it.
So what about what is it? Bianca Belair versus Asuka.
I have no idea who any
Now
of these people
Asuka,
are.
I know Asuka. Like
These all sound like strains of some kind of like ganja or something to me.
You know what? I actually think that Bianca Belair is somewhat entertaining
Bianca
to watch.
Belair.
Like if you watch her like interviews and her personality.
That's a porn star name too, Bianca Belair.
Wow, you watch way too many.
You are the
adult
reason
movies.
why the patriarchy still stands, my friend.
Okay.
I'm
Hey,
anti-porn.
okay, I'm about to break the fourth wall here, but this is Women's Month, right? It's like this is the month we celebrate women.
You
right?
really broke the fucking wall right there.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
Well, this does come on the 25th, so that's okay.
Okay,
That's okay.
Thank you.
That's
Oh,
okay.
and he did that
That's okay.
all while
That's
waving
okay.
at me.
Waving
very-
his hand.
That's
Oh.
okay, sweetheart. Oh, Jesus Christ.
He summoned his
Jesus
feminine ladies.
Christ.
I had to.
All right, and so what about Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley?
So
What's your-
that
Charlotte
actually
Flair is the daughter of Ric Flair?
yes.
Okay, then I'm in with that one.
That actually should be a good match if you're a diehard wrestling fan
Yeah.
because Charlotte is fantastic in the ring. She gets it.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
I've seen.
I've seen some
some
clips.
footage of it, and she looks like she's like a throwback to the classics. She
Yeah.
obviously respects her, what her dad did, and she brings that energy in. So that's cool.
And this is one of those matches. I'm going to be honest. You cannot predict who's going to win. I'm going to put my money on Rhea because she's kind of on a hot streak. But
Yeah.
like, if she loses, I wouldn't be shocked.
So now, apparently, the biggest match that everyone's looking forward is the Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, and obviously Cody Rhodes.
Roman Reigns has been
I would-
undefeated for the last 2 years.
So
Cody
are
Rhodes.
they making him the new Undertaker, you think?
No. Well, it's possible because when he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which
That
was
was the passing
like,
the torch shit?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of like the passing of the torch.
Right.
And so Roman has been undefeated for the last 2 years, and Cody has been undefeated since he came back to the WWE.
That's interesting.
So
that is interesting.
it's time to see who's got to give.
And finally,
Well, no, that's it. That's the
That's
main
the
one.
main event.
Now, for me, like
right when the music ended too.
well, I was just gonna say, as a person who doesn't watch wrestling, I'm kind of like thinking this might be my entry point. I think I might want to check this stuff
If
out.
it's on Urine Cock, I'll watch it.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
God,
disgusting.
yeah, that is disgusting.
Come
Go
on,
back,
huh?
go
No?
back to
Oh,
last
okay.
year and watch Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville.
I'll
I'll check
my
that out.
God, Johnny Knoxville.
I'll check that out.
Yeah.
That sounds like a spectacle.
That was a fun time.
Okay. I don't know what to say to that.
Or are you gonna make eye contact with anything while you're?
No, I'm not even gonna do that. I'm disappointed in me.
I'm disappointed in you all the time, so now you know how we feel.
Yeah.
This is how we feel.
All right, guys, shut up. Sign off,
I'm all in. I'm gonna watch wrestling this year. What do you know?
Doyle.
You know what? Go to our Patreon. Join us on Patreon. We got exclusive content there. We also have Teespring out. It's got some great merch for you guys. We actually invested in making sure that stuff was good looking on you guys, and so send us pictures.
Yeah, please. We want to see you guys with our inky logo on you. It's a really cool logo, and I'm excited to
I prefer
see it
men.
out there.
George, shut up.
I prefer men.
And then that's about it. Remember, never make eye contact while eating a banana or being next to Enrique.
Yeah.
You are now leaving the Ouchcast with Angel, George, Enrique, and Doyle. Visit our website at www.ouchcast.com. Subscribe and leave a rating and review.